We would like to help you to feel more powerfully, something that we know that you all want to know about, you all want to feel, but you've managed over time to build barricades and separations between who you are in your physical body and who you really are as source energy. And so sometimes you feel negative emotions that you describe as fearful or insecure or worried or lonely. And what you're describing really with every negative emotion is you having chosen, because you always do, to focus on something that is vibrationally different enough from your broader point of view that you've introduced enough resistance into your energy field that you are depriving yourself of the fullness of the results that you want. The fullness of the presence of source, or the fullness of the presence of someone that you care about, or the fullness of the presence of the manifestation that you've been working on. In other words, you are the only one who can allow or deprive yourself of anything that you want. And it's all about the vibrational stance. Therefore, it's all about the thoughts you think. Therefore, it's all about the way you feel. And when you get that all together, when you acknowledge that the way I feel is about what I'm doing vibrationally, and what I'm doing vibrationally is about what I'm thinking about, and it all comes down to focus, and I can focus on something that feels good, or I can focus on something that feels bad, every time, every moment, every place, everywhere, everyone. I can do this. But it takes some practice, and we encourage you to start with easy things. Practice your focus on the things that it's easy to focus on. Or practice your focus on the things that matter the most to you, because they come up the most often, so eventually you can work it out if you want to. But when you discover your ability to focus and feel, focus and feel, focus and feel, focus and feel, before you know it, you're going to discover the genius of feeling and focus, feeling and focus, feeling and focus. Because once you figure out how to find something that causes you to feel good, and you focus on it long enough that you establish a pattern of that thought, and therefore a pattern of that feeling, you begin to establish for yourself what we have recently been calling an emotional grid. It's like the beginning. It's like an emotional foundation. It's like the foundation of anything. But a foundation, a vibrational foundation, is such a marvelous thing to understand and behold. Because once you accomplish an emotional foundation, law of attraction will fill it in at all levels with things that match it. And your life just becomes rich and full with what you've been calling coincidences, and they are coincidences, but we want to say a coincidence is not a freaky act of nature. It's not a lucky happenstance. A coincidence is an incidence that is cooperatively happening because of the cooperative components that are coming to you in response to the vibrational offering that you're offering. In other words, these coincidences mean converging. It means coming together. It means aligning with things that match how you are dominantly feeling. So once you begin to deliberately conjure by virtue of focusing on things that you know will make you feel good, because last time you focused upon them, they did, so you know that it did it once, so you're going to try it again. Sort of like when you go to a buffet. Really, you're really good at this. When you go to a buffet and you get something in your mouth that is horrible, do you keep going back and trying it again? Oh, I'm going back with my plate. Why? Because it was awful, and I'm going to try to train it into something different. It was just horrible. So you start with things that you know taste good, vibrationally, emotionally, and you focus upon them, and you use that focus with the deliberate intention of establishing an emotional grid that we promise you will fill in with more details. So you know that you create your own reality, yes? You know that you create your own reality, yes? Yes. We want you to know by the time you leave this gathering today, unequivocally, that you create your own reality. We want you to know, we want you to remember that you are extensions of source energy. We want you to remember that before you came forth into this physical body, you were source energy consciousness. And even though you're in this body, still that point of view remains. That non-physical, pure positive energy, always up to speed with the furthest of that which we've all become version of you, exists. And when you tune to the frequency of who you really are, you feel really, 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 really good in the moment. You know those moments of clarity, insight? That's what that is. You know those moments of jubilance, those moments of exhilaration, that feeling of exhilaration that flows through you often. Those moments are the moments when somehow, some way, you've managed to focus in a way where you've stopped doing that thing you do, which holds you back from all that you are. And that's sort of a screwy way of explaining it to you, isn't it? When you no longer do that thing you do, then you'll be able to do that thing you really want to do, that thing you were doing before you came into this physical body, that thing you were born to do, that thing you always want to do. You want to do that thing you do, but you've got to stop doing that thing you do in order to do that thing you do. And the thing that we want you to no longer do, which sounds backwards and not really Abraham-like, that thing we want you to no longer do is to stop doing that thing that you do, which is fussing and worrying about things that you can't do anything about. We want you to give up control of the uncontrollable. And we would like you to accept that everything is uncontrollable when you are talking about manifestation. Those manifestations are uncontrollable to you because they are controlled by law of attraction. So when you decide that you're going to control circumstances and events, when you decide you're going to control your government or control anyone, oh, there's lots popping up on that one. When you decide that you're no longer going to try to control your children or your lover or your mother, your mother. When you decide that you're no longer going to control the government or TSA, especially them. Esther was getting a really friendly pat down yesterday. She knows exactly how it got activated too. She has a new line. She thinks she can head it off. She's going to say from now on, just as it's about to begin, I've been really lonely lately. I'm so looking forward to this. When you decide that you're going to stop trying to control the uncontrollable, and instead you begin to control the thing, the one thing, the certain thing, the important thing, the only thing that matters, when you decide that you're going to control the way you feel. When you believe that in order to achieve a certain feeling, that you have to control a circumstance so that you can then have a feeling response to it, now you're in trouble because there are too many moving parts. But when you decide that you're going to control the only thing that matters and something that you absolutely can control, and that is the way you feel, when you decide that you're going to achieve emotional clarity, that you're going to reach for emotional manifestations. Now, we deliberately use the word manifestation because an emotion is a manifestation. And when you think about it, isn't everything you want because you think you will feel better in the having of it? Whether it's a material object or a relationship, whether it's the modifying or the molding of a circumstance and event, isn't everything that you want because you believe that in the having of it, that you will feel better? We know it's a big jump, but just stay with us today as we continue to reach for it with you. If you can accept that you have the ability within 5 or 10 minutes, faster often, but within 5 or 10 minutes, 10 at the outside, within 5 or 10 minutes, you can bring yourself to an emotional state of being that feels good to you. You're standing there with us. You're standing there with us knowing where you're standing and us knowing where you're going, but us knowing where you're standing. And we take our pleasure not from where you're going. We take our pleasure from where you're standing. Can you feel it? Can you feel what we're talking about? We're standing there with you in your moment of contemplation or in your moment of concern or in your moment of knowing what you don't want. And we're standing there in total alignment with all that we are, because we know that when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And we know what you do want when you know what you don't want. When you're standing there in a focused moment and you know what you don't want, we know what you do want. And guess what we're focused upon? We're focused upon what you do want and reveling in what you do want. And it doesn't have to manifest in order for us to feel the pleasure of it, because we are vibration. We're all about vibration. And you don't have to have the manifestation of it either in order to feel the exhilaration of it. And when the manifestation of it stops being necessary to you and is unnecessary to you like it is unnecessary to us, now you've created the perfect grid in the perfect moment. And now the manifestation must come, because in this leading edge environment, all that is asked for is given. And when you allow it, it is revealed to you in that moment, you see. There's no reason for you to hold yourself off from anything you want. But there's no reason for you to want the culmination of everything you want either. Because there's so much potential for satisfaction right where you are. If you would spend just a little bit of time over the next few days just making lists of things that you appreciate from right where you stand, you would shore up a grid that would begin to fill in immediately. But if you do it because you want the grid to fill in, rather than because you're appreciating, then you're not appreciating. Then you're trying to fill the grid in. And that's what goes wrong with so many deliberate creators. You're getting your cart before your horse. And what we've been talking about all day here today, in fact recently, is the vibrational basis, which is your point of attraction, over which you have complete control. Do we want you to control it all day, every day? No. We love it when you get out of whack with who you are. You know why? It makes you more pointedly want to get into alignment with who you are. And you would not be who you are, and therefore we would not be who we are, if you were not willing to get out of whack with who you are. You're leading edge pioneers. You're carving it out. You're exploring. You're weighing the pluses and the minuses, the pros and the cons. You know what you don't want. You know what you do want. You're the focuser of the energy, you see. You just get us pointed in the direction of what you want, and we go all the way there and revel in it, and we hold steady to a vibration that can be the basis of your grid and is ultimately the basis of your grid. In other words, your vibrational grid is so solidly in that of well-being that in the moment that you release from this physical time-space reality, you will return to the well-being of that grid. But it is so much fun to be specifically focused with you in the specifics of your life while you are feeling good. We want you to never again feel uncomfortable about any negative emotion that you hold, because your negative emotion only means one thing. You are temporarily not in alignment with all that you have become. But no harm comes from your negative emotion. The greatest harm that you could identify, if you even wanted to use that word, would be you are depriving yourself of the good feeling that would be there if you weren't doing that thing that is depriving you of the good feeling. But that's as far as it goes. There are not things that you are doing that are depriving you of the goodness of your grid. It's stable, it's sure, it's true, and it's eternal. And you are here in this physical experience with powerful intentions to explore with delight and amazement. You are here to create and be amazed at what you have created. That's what the joyous growth, expansion experience is all about. And so, if we were standing in your physical shoes, and we had heard and felt what you've been hearing in these hours that we've been together, the way that we would approach our life in the days, hours and days that follow this moment is this. We would be looking for fun. We would be looking for love, which means we would be looking for things to appreciate, which is what love is, and we would be looking for things to surprise and delight us, which is what fun is. And that's it. Somebody says, "Where are you going?" Don't really know. Just looking for fun. Just looking for fun. Just looking for fun from this basis of love. We have enjoyed this interaction more than words can explain. And we want to remind you that while we have offered a lot of words, most of the words that we offered here today were the same words. You're aware of that. Grid, 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 grid. But along with the word grid We've been offering your core grid vibration. It's been powerful and palpable, and you are forever changed.